Welcome to the District D, St. Vrain Valley School District Candidate Forum, sponsored by the League of Women Voters of Boulder County. My name is Josephine Porter. I am a longtime member of the League, and I'm pleased to serve as moderator for tonight's forum. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan political organization. For over 100 years, we've encouraged informed and active participation in government. The League does not support or endorse or oppose political candidates or parties. Now to the forum. There are 7 members on the St. Vrain Valley Board of Education who determine district policy and how the district operates. Each board member is elected to a 4-year term, with each member representing a section of the district based on Board of Education boundaries. Candidates must live in the director district in which they are running. However, they are voted upon by the entire St. Vrain Valley community. In other words, all school board members are elected by a vote of the electors of the entire school district. Tonight, we have the candidates for District D, Miosha Babs and John Ahrens. District D covers primarily the Erie portion of the district. The format will be as follows. Each candidate will have 90 seconds for an opening statement and to answer each question. After the opening statement, we will ask the candidates the questions submitted by the St. Vrain community and reviewed by our League of Women Voters question screeners. Some questions have been combined with others on the same topic. Now to the opening statements and questions. For the opening statements, we will begin with candidate Babs.
Good evening. Thank you for having me today, and I appreciate you all being here. Thank you, Mrs. Porter, for being here, and thank you, the League of Women Voters, for hosting us tonight. My name is Miosha Babs. I am the incumbent District D Board of Education member for St. Vrain Valley School District here in Erie, Colorado. I am a longtime resident of 16 years of Erie, Colorado. I've been here with my family, and all 4 of my children have gone through, or 2 of them have gone through the district, and 2 of them are currently in the district. So I've been with the district for quite some time. My background includes, currently I'm an engineer at BAE Systems. I've been with the company for 9 years and been in the industry for well over 20 plus years. I also have a background in education, where I currently teach at a university level graduate classes, and I also taught at a secondary school level, 6th through 8th grade science and math. I also was a tutor and lab instructor while in college, and for many years tutor in high school as well. My education journey started very, very early in my life as a student as well as a lifelong learner. I'm here today wanting to continue that journey in education, to continue to be your district Board of Education director. Thank you.
Candidate Ahrens.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. Good evening. I'm John Ahrens. I'm running for the St. Vrain Valley School Board. I had the honor of serving our district for 8 years during a time of great growth and innovation. During my tenure, we helped to launch STEM programs in the Innovation Center. I've always believed that public education is the foundation of our community, a place where students discover their potential, where families are engaged, and where teachers have the tools they need to succeed. Today, with rapid advancements in technology and the rise of artificial intelligence, we have a responsibility to keep St. Vrain in the forefront of innovation while never losing sight of the individual needs of students. I'm running again because I know what it takes to move big ideas forward. I've seen firsthand collaboration between the board, the teachers, and the community builds an opportunity for all. Together, we can continue to create an environment where every student is prepared, confident, and ready for the future. I thank you for your support and believing in the power of education.
For the first question, we'll begin with candidate Ahrens. What are your priorities for SVVSD budget? The district is facing a number of challenges in the coming years. It will be important for our board to have guiding values. while making future budgeting decisions. What would you say are the 3 top values and priorities that should guide where the limited resources are spent?
First of all, thank you for the question. Our school system has been very valiant in the way it handles its fiduciary responsibilities, and that's one of the greatest power that St. Vrain has, is the ability to spend money as needed. We don't frivolously jump into the next newest idea. We carefully review the process and we look at what's ahead of us. Today, with the future, some of the needs that are new are financing that is now maybe going to be missed from our national government, Washington, that is. So we'll have to look at that and see exactly what takes place, but that only constitutes about 10% to 12% of our budget. It's not a huge. Most of our budget comes from the community and the state. There are a few things that I would like to look at. There's the budget that's going to be cut is going to affect some of our most needed in the community. So there's a bill out for HB 25-1320, which is new funding for low-income English learners and disabilities. It's going to serve mostly the rural areas, but I look at the school system as a whole system in terms of the weakest link are the ones that'll drag down education. So we need to prop up every student throughout the state. Our luck is that we have incredible teachers and we are ready to take on financial responsibilities.
Candidate Babs.
Thank you. First and foremost, thank you. Our board doesn't manage our day-to-day spending. However, because that's operational, we do take on the role of setting budget priorities and approving the overall budget and ensuring that the accountability for how our funds are used, and ensuring that accountability for how our funds are used. Our primary responsibility is to ensure that every taxpayer dollar that it directly supports student learning, and we do that through many of the programs that we have. We maintain a strong financial foundation with approximately over $174 million fund balance, and that is a good fund balance. And many of you will know, if you haven't seen in our last bond that we passed for roughly over $700 million, that none of the our community's taxes were increased. In fact, we lowered it with our mill levy by about one point there. So we did not increase taxes. That shows that we are managing our money very well within our district, and we are fiscally healthy and responsible with the dollars that we have. This enables us to further invest in what matters most in our classrooms. And with the cuts we have in the budgets from a federal and maybe even state level, we look at those strongly, and we ensure that we are making sure that we have several different outlets for funding, which we have through grants and other programs within our district.
For our next question, we'll begin with Candidate Babs. In 2008 and 2012, the voters of our district passed mill levy overrides to supplement operational expenses and school programs. These are in addition to last year's bond measure for huge capital improvements. Through the regular mill levy, Colorado provides funds to support K through 12. Do you support continuing the additional St. Vrain District mill levy, the override, and why?
I want to make sure I understand your question. Are you saying continuing what was already passed or an additional mill levy override?
Well, do you support continuing the mill levy overrides?
Okay, I think I understand your question. So a mill levy override, I want to make sure that everyone understands that is used for operational, and the bond is used for infrastructure. So there are two different votes that are being passed, and that mill levy override that helped us increase what we pay our teachers, help us hire more teachers, what we may have needed back then in 2008. And I want to point out that mill levy override was one that was passed, was the only one, or I won't say the only one, but one that was passed, and only one passed in many years prior. It was very hard to get that passed, and we had to do many things to ensure that that mill levy was passed, which restructuring our budget, cutting out waste, and also ensuring that the programs that we had in place were sustainable. So there was a lot that went into that. I also look to ensure that we use our, as I stated before, use our funds that the community give us wisely, and making sure that we are making sure our costs are effective, and we're using that for our program. So and also for our teacher pay. That's one of the areas that mill levy override will help us with. So ensuring that we can, if we do have to have another mill levy override, that we're looking to use the mill levy override to increase where we pay what we may be paying our teachers, and also within our programs.
Candidate Ahrens.
All right, thank you for the question. St. Vrain is in a unique position. I helped work on that bond and the levy to get passed, and I was very proud of it. St. Vrain's one of the, when I joined the board, we were the 9th largest district within Colorado. We grew to the 7th largest district within Colorado. So St. Vrain is enjoying a period of rapid growth. Erie happens to be one of the largest areas responsible for that growth. Our bonds and our money spent has led us to an area where we are now a AAA rating. So you can see that the financial responsibility has been taken seriously by the district, and we spend our money wisely. We've done so in such a way that with the ratings and the savings that we've brought to the district, we've actually saved millions of dollars because we were able to redo our rates and our borrowing from the state, and which is important to know that we've saved so much money. But we've also been able to build new schools. We've been able to build a swimming pool. We've been able to build an innovation center. Some of those were part of the bond. Some of those were substantial add-ons after the bond was passed. So I think the community can be really comfortable with the fact that we have a fiduciary responsibility for our district and for the savings and for the money spent.
The next question will begin with candidate Ahrens. It's about safety. How can we make schools safe for all students and district employees? What tools do you support for helping with prioritizing school safety?
You know, safety is forefront in what the district looks at in terms of one of its responsibilities for not only for the students and the teachers, but for the community. One of the things I like about St. Vrain is that we have open campuses, and we have the ability to have students go to the Innovation Center to study. So we want to keep that priority of teaching education and have it open to students. We also have to look at the responsibility of keeping our schools safe. We've done that by definitely upgrading our schools in terms of security systems in school, in terms of doors that are put on the school. And also we have every person who walks into the school has to show their ID. So we're not having frivolously people just walk in. I think safety is something where we all have to think about it, but we don't want to overthink it in terms of we don't want to have our students shocked and saying that we're running a tight community that is overbearing. It's interesting that we have an idea of what's going on with safety, but we have our SRO officers, which I really enjoy in the schools, and they're a great, not only safety, but they also do, I guess my time's up, but I'm just going to say they perform safety, and they also perform an invaluable service to our students to be mentors.
Candidate Babs.
Thank you. For the last 4 years, I can definitely tell you our board's role in ensuring we balance physical security measures and creating a welcoming environment for all of our students is first and foremost. Our schools should feel safe and not something like a fortress, something that our students should be able to come to and feel like they are somewhat at home outside of their own home. And we support this and I support this as a comprehensive approach. St. Vrain has invested over $45 million in the past decade in our security infrastructure, and that's a large amount of money to say that to ensure that we make sure that our students are the priority and that they feel safe. We have very close partnerships with our law enforcement and employs school resource officers or SROs in every one of our high schools, and support officers in our elementary schools on every campus. And we have over 156 counselors available, counselors, psychologists, interventionists available for our students, to include social workers. So we are making sure that our students feel safe, not only from a physical perspective, but a mental and emotional perspective as well. The physical security measures are important, but prevention is as equally critical. So we want to ensure that our SROs have trust and communication that prevent incidents, and that we parent with our partners in our safety.
Thank you. We'll begin this one with candidate Babs, and we'll go right into the SRO question. Other local school districts, SVVSD, for example, have stopped using school resource officers. Should St. Vrain Valley School District phase out using school resource officers?
Again, I'll say that we as a board, we highly value the safety of our students first and foremost. And we believe that our school resource officers and the partnerships that we have with them is very critical. And we ensure that that partnership entails them understanding that our school is not a prison. It is not a detention center. It's a place where students come to learn and they come to feel safe. That partnership entails that our school resource officers are there for their protection against people who may come from the outside to harm them. So they're available at our school events, sporting events, lunch, and they're there during lunchtime with the kids. They can serve as mentors. So the students build a relationship with these school resource officers and our support super campus supervisors, and they build trust and communication with those students. So when something does happen, those students feel safe. They feel like they can come and talk to them and not feel like they're another person or entity there that's there to harm them. So again, our students are our first and foremost importance, and their safety is even more important. So we continue to partner with the law enforcement to ensure that that occurs and happens on a daily basis.
Candidate Ahrens.
Simple answer to that is no, we should not be getting rid of our SROs. If you look at other districts and other schools that have gotten rid of SROs, most of them have brought them back because of safety is the main concern. As we said earlier, the safety officers, the SROs, are there to help the students in safety, but they're also there as counselors, they're there as friends, and they build an extremely good reputation with the students, which prepares those students for future life interaction with the police. If they go out into the community, they're going to know that they're there to serve them, not to harm them, or harm's the wrong word. But we need to know that our SROs are there for multitude of preventative and operational needs in the schools. Our SROs are great friends of the district, and we really need to support them just as they support us.
The next question, and we'll begin with candidate Ahrens. What is your position on bilingual education for all students in St. Vrain Valley School District? And specifically, what plans do you have to support students whose first language is not English, so that the achievement gap between them and those whose first language is not English is closed? And secondly, what happens if federal funding for bilingual education dries up?
That is one of the areas that is under some scrutiny right now by Washington in terms of cutting back on funds. St. Vrain has a good program for our students to take on Spanish, to take on French, to take on other languages that are their opportunities to succeed. If you look at the way education is, we are no longer just trapped within the four walls. We are a community. We are a world that competes and operates in a global economic atmosphere. So I support. It's difficult because we're looking at something where the board really doesn't justify the educational process. We can support it, we can suggest things, but we're there for fiduciary responsibilities. We're there for the 30,000 point view. But I do think that a couple things can happen with education and learned language. And one of those is the fact that we have now the opportunity to use AI. I know AI can be a dirty language, but AI can actually teach our students languages that they haven't had the opportunity to learn. So we can bring in French, we can bring in Russian, we can bring in Italian, and let those students dabble in creating a world where they can communicate outside of St. Vrain.
Candidate Babs.
Thank you for the question. We serve students with a variety of needs and backgrounds, gifted learners, students with disabilities, and to include English language as well. And those students we look at. We actually have a program where it's a seal of biliteracy. So we encourage the biliteracy of anyone, whether it's French, Spanish, German, if we can, if we can provide that language as well. So any language that a student wants to be able to learn. And then we have our Agile program that we've instituted, and it allows us to teach students not only in a school where the teacher is, but in other schools where there may not be a language, a secondary language teacher, so that student can take the class and still be in another school. So we have different opportunities for every student to be able to do that. And through that program, that allows us to make sure that every student is available, every student has the availability to take a foreign language, or if they're an English language learner, to be able to learn from an English language learner teacher. The board monitors this disaggregated data through achievement data. We give that report every year, usually at the beginning of the year. We just gave it about a few weeks ago. So we track that and we look at those proficiency rates to ensure that our students are getting everything that they need. We provide these programs for all students, and we also look at the gaps that may be for any other student. Thank you.
The next question will begin with candidate Babs, and it's kind of along the same lines. How do you feel that St. Vrain is practicing equity and inclusion? And are there improvements that need to be made? And please talk about the efforts that St. Vrain is making. And as a second part of the question, what will you as a board member do if DEI programs are required to be eliminated as a prerequisite to getting federal funds?
Thank you. So nationally, we know that these have been issues for many years, but definitely highly politicized over the last 4 to 5 years or so, and flashpoints to say the least. And one of the things that St. Vrain doesn't do is we don't follow those flashpoints or those buzzwords, as many call them. We do have to abide by the law in that state and federally. We do have to do that, but we also understand that we are putting programs into place so that every student who walks through our door can feel safe. They can feel like they get an education, and they can feel worthy and respectful of themselves. So we value every student and not the politics. Every student has the opportunity to feel welcome and valued. Our mission is educating each student at their highest potential. So one of those things that we do requires removing those barriers. And to remove those, we ensure we focus on outcomes and not just what buzzword is of the day. When data shows certain student groups are consistently underperforming, we have the responsibility as a board, as a district, to understand why that happens. And when we do that, we go through our data to ensure that our students are getting the things that they need. We give them voices through our programs. Not only that, we also give them voices through our extracurriculars, which 85% of our students are participating in that. And we have seen an increase in our graduation rate being 96% of our overall graduation rate being 96%.
The next question, and we'll begin with candidate Babs. In the past, St. Vrain has been criticized for not serving enough healthy and non-processed foods to the students. Do you support any changes to school lunches to provide more fresh and local foods and more food options?
Thank you for the question. One of the things that I know is really important is to make sure that we are feeding our students and we are feeding them healthy food. St. Vrain Valley has, and I think within many initiatives that have been passed over the many years to increase the consistency and the healthiness of our foods, we have we have not only meet the requirements, but we exceed them in many areas. That doesn't mean that there isn't areas of improvement. We do want to ensure that our students are getting healthy foods, but we also know that there are students who come from households that eat different varieties of food. So we have to ensure that we are making that not only those foods for those students, but also the students for every student that comes and walks through our door healthy and healthy for their body. So making sure that we can use some of the foods that are local or the foods that we may get from a source, a supplier, making sure that those foods have good ingredients and making sure that we are following what the FDA has approved for our food as well as our students at large.
Candidate Ahrens.
Our schools have incredible cafeterias, and they really merit to be recognized for the fact that they do look at nutritional values, and they try to keep a meal in front of our students that allows them to grow both mentally and physically. We have incredible people that work in our cafeterias. Our biggest issue that I think we have to look at is universal free school meals. Those are being cut or possibly being cut by the Washington deduct of funds that are coming into our district. So we may need to make sure that every student gets a meal. I think that's one of our biggest goals, is to help out the underserved and those that need assistance by eating. But I'm not worried about the food that's being served within the district. Our cafeterias are very confident that they are providing a nutritious meal.
The next question, and we'll begin with candidate Ahrens. Employment opportunities in many technology fields have suddenly undergone a decline. Graduates are going in many different directions. How do you think St. Vrain Valley School District should prepare students for success in this ever-changing job future?
One thing is, we can't be chasing where the jobs are today and where they might be tomorrow, but we're trying to provide students with the tools to help them innovate and expand their opportunities. And one way we're doing that is we're bringing in certification programs with many of our businesses, such as IBM and Apple and many others, so students can get a quality look at what these businesses want in terms of their next employee. That puts them in the forefront of being hired by those companies. We also have the opportunity for students to study STEM, drones, innovation. There's a program for EMTs, there's a program for teachers. All those opportunities allow our students to really kind of dabble in the areas they might have interest in and to really get help to pushing that forward. But to chase what may be hired today and not hired tomorrow is not the objective. We should be building students who love education, who are lifelong learners, and really want to innovate and bring collaboration to their employment.
Candidate Babs.
Thank you. As a person who is in the technology engineering field, I know firsthand how important it is for our students to have critical thinking skills, analytical skills. And St. Vrain Valley School District is doing exactly that. We are preparing our students for careers that are not here today. Many of them, as stated before, includes in programs like robotics, drones, cybersecurity. We have many programs where many of our students have been able to go into internship programs and get early experiences and skills, so that when they do go out into the post-grad world, whether it's through a college prep program or through a trades program, they have the skills before they even leave our school district. So it's not so much if it is either or, it is when and how. We are preparing our students for jobs that don't exist today. We have career connected pathways, well over 30 different pathways that give our students options and relevant skills. And St. Brain has instructional focused programs and 44 career technical education pathways from which students can choose from. We are doing a lot of work in our P-Tech area as well as our P-Teach areas, and making sure that we are preparing our students today for those jobs that don't exist today for tomorrow. Thanks.
And the next question, I'll begin with candidate Babs. It's an interesting question. Some parents express a view that general education students are shortchanged because of the amount of money and time and effort and resources spent by the schools on special programs and priorities. Programs such as gifted and talented, those with disability programs, LGBTQ programs. What is your response to that view?
I would start by saying that St. Brain Valley School District values each and every one of our students. We have programs set up for a student who wants to take advanced classes. We have programs set up for students who want general education classes. We have programs set up for students who want to take something specifically for language, for trades, for college prep. We have a program for all of those students. I go back to our fund balance of $174 million that we have. And not to include, again, the fact that when every student walks through our door, the first thing that we think of is the mission of educating every single student, not just a student of a certain caliber or a student that wants to go to college. We have programs, well over 70 programs for our students who want in our career and tech ed that want to take programs. They can take it at a level of trades. They can take it a level if they want to go into law, if they want to go into mechanics, if they want to go into engineering or nursing, into the medical field or business. So we have programs set for every student, not just those who want to advance in the highly skilled areas and not just for those who want to go into the trades. We look at those disparities across the board.
Candidate Ahrens.
Thank you. I think the question is kind of one, how can I be served? And when we look at the district, we have to look at the broad stroke of educating every student. So we do have programs that are for the English language learners. We have programs for dyslexia. We have programs for those who have special needs. That's one thing. So I think we have to look at one part of our equation, which is to educate those that have the highest need. So they raise the bar up. But then you have the higher learners who really have a great opportunity within our district to take classes that are propelling them to get certification programs, to get trained in coding, to get drone programs, to get all these opportunities. Right in Erie, you can look at Soaring Heights. Soaring Heights is a great pre-K 8, and they allow students that are excelling in their educational process to walk across the parking lot, really, and take classes at the high school. So I think we're doing a good job of serving those who need to be propped up, and we're helping those who have advancements to really satisfy their curiosity. And that's what education should be. You should be able to satisfy your curiosity and chase lifelong learners.
The next question will begin with candidate Ahrens. How will you prioritize hearing student voices? Do you feel there are adequate social, emotional, and mental health supports available at the high school level? And how can we offer these to all students to remove the stigma of the student having to ask for help?
That's interesting. one thing Miosha said earlier is we have a really strong program for mental health and for counseling all throughout St. Vrain. I know that we have some trying times and there's some difficulties, and students need to share some of their I don't know how to really put this, but if they're having a mental breakdown or just being stressed, they need to have the outlet to do that. So we're trying to provide the best opportunities we can. But I'm going to turn it around and say, we really need to provide a full atmosphere for our students to have both physical and mental opportunities. And I think the physical is really important. And you got to look at the sports programs that we have throughout St. Vrain, and they're really allowing students to excel in sports. And I think that's part of the physical that helps bring mental stability to our students. I don't know if we have the opportunity to bring everyone in. I shouldn't say that. We do have that opportunity, and we're bringing in students to take care of themselves, both mentally, physically, and I hope that we're providing the best opportunities. But one of the things I like to do is get into the schools and talk with the teachers and the parents of the community. If I hear something, I'll say something.
Thank you. Candidate Babs.
One of the things that not only myself, but our board takes very seriously are the well-being of our students. And mental health is the foundation to learning. If you, just like you go to the doctor for a physical exam, the same thing needs to happen when it comes to mental health. Over the years, we've seen mental health become seemingly more apparent than even the physical, the health. But normalizing these conversations about mental health needs to be what our students understand and what they see. To seek help before the situation escalates, to seek help and feel safe in seeking that help. And we want to help to make sure that our students feel safe, because again, as I stated before, one of our first priorities is that our students feel valued, safe, and secure when they come into our school buildings. So we have counselors, over 156 counselors, interventionists, psychologists, and in our school system, and they work proactively with our students. They have great partnerships with our students, and they not only are reactive to crises, but they build those relationships with our students so that when the students do need to come to them and turn to them, they do that first and foremost and not feel like they can't come to them. So those are the types of things that we want to make a priority, and normalizing that mental health is just as important as our physical health, if not even more important.
The next question, and we're going to go to 60 seconds for the next two questions. And then we'll have closing statements. And we'll start with candidate Babs. And this will be 60 seconds. Do you support the current phone watch restrictions, not in classrooms, but allowed for breaks and recess? Or should St. Vrain institute an outright ban on phones in schools?
Okay, I'm sorry, can you please restate that question? I want to make sure I understand it.
Do you support the current phone watch restrictions? And those are not in class. It's my understanding, the question seems to understand that it's not in classrooms, but allowed for break and recess. Or should St. Vrain institute an outright ban on phones in schools?
I do believe that we as a district do a really good job of making sure that our student voices are heard. We have a student accountability committee where the students are able to voice those concerns that they have or ideas that they have to our district leaders so that we can understand that. And one of the things that they did in those by using those voices and as a part of that student empowerment is to talk about a phone ban. We have not banned phones in school. What we have done is allow the teachers to enforce a time where the phones are put aside so that the students can focus and they can be a part of engaging in the classroom, in the conversations that are happening in the classroom. And those phones are available to the students as much as they possibly need them, because I do understand sometimes there are emergency situations. And I myself would want my child, my children who are in the school district, to be able to have access to those phones. So we've employed with our teachers and our students to make that decision within their classroom as a whole.
Thank you. Candidate Aaron's.
Yeah, I agree with that. I like the fact that we're listening to our students and they do have the ability to reach out and to collaborate with our teachers in our community. Um, I have heard some incredible successes in terms of banning the phones at lunch and everything. We seem to have students that are now engaging and talking with one another and not on their phones. So I'm very supportive of that. I think an overall ban may be an overreach, and we have to watch how much we're trying to influence particular schools, particular students. I'm going to leave that up to the teachers and the principals of the school as to how much they're going to allow any phone use within their own buildings. I think that's important. But I do support that we limit the social apps that are now on phones, especially within the school zone. I support a healthy environment, and I think our phones can be overbearing.
And the next question the last question will go with candidate Aaron's. What role does the Board of Education have, or should they have, in developing a viable response to the gigantic impact of AI on education?
Interesting. We have a beast in front of us, and that name is AI. AI is probably pushing us down the technology road faster than we've ever experienced anything before. With that comes fears and apprehensions, or apprehension, I should say, but also great opportunity. So we have to figure out how to really teach AI in a way that gives students power. Doesn't replace their learning, it enhances their learning. I'm a big fan of technology, but it has to be done properly. And if we don't teach AI and how it should be used and utilized within our schools, we're going to be doing a disservice to our students and sending them out into the world unprepared. So we have a two-headed beast in front of us.
Candidate Babs.
Thank you for this question. And one of the things I talked about as a person who is in technology, that AI isn't going away. And we can't be fearful of it. We have to understand how it's being used and develop measures to use it appropriately. We don't want to take away that analytical and critical thinking from our students, because that is a part of not only their education and learning, it's a part of human brain development. And that's how the brain continues to develop, it continues to mature, and it continues to be healthy. So it goes beyond just the education piece. We can also talk about the development of people over, their lifetime. So the AI piece is there. And like John said, we wanted to develop healthy measures in how we use this technology and make sure that we are teaching our students how to use it effectively and how to use it to help them as a tool and a resource, and not something that just gives them the answers. I do want to say lastly that we have AI in our school district, and we have empowered our students to use it and empower them to use it respectfully.
Now we're going to go to our closing statements, and I'm going to just ask if in your closing statement you'll have 90 seconds, and if you could kind of address or make allusion to what makes you that best candidate to represent District D for the St. Vrain Department of Board of Education. And we will begin with candidate Babs.
Thank you. Thank you for having.
Seconds.
Thank you for having me this evening. I appreciate all the questions that were given here. Very thoughtful and insightful tonight. I want to say that education has been in my blood, my life, for my entire life. I've started out in education not only as a lifelong learner, but also one who looked forward to going to school every day. My teachers were impactful in my life and have driven me to be the person I am today, the engineer that I am today, the leader that I am today. So without them in my daily life, it would have possibly turned out completely different. As far as being the best candidate for you, over the last 4 years, I have made it my journey, my personal privilege to not only be in this position to help our students, but also be the voice for our students, to be the voice for our teachers, to be the voice for our district, to empower our students to think, to advocate for themselves, to empower our students to think beyond the boundaries and beyond the box, to empower our teachers to be able to teach our students and to be able to have the tools and resources. We've increased our graduation rate over the last several years, and we have one of the highest graduation rates in our state, and we have the highest number of graduation requirements, all while maintaining that. We have some of the highest test scores in comparison to our state, and we've done that over the last 4 years to empower our students.
Candidate Ahrens.
Thank you very much for the opportunity tonight. Education is a passion of mine. It's interesting. I owned a couple of businesses, and then our business in 2007 did not succeed, my wife and I. And there was a split in my life where I had a 4 and a 5-year-old. And all of a sudden I was talking with my wife, and I'm like, should I get another full-time job or should I raise our students? Back in 2007, when I entered the school and with my kids, I saw a complete need that was in our schools, and I found myself volunteering in 4 different classrooms. With that, I got a call from Dr. Haddad, and he said, I've been hearing your name. I'd like you to enter or entertain the possibility of getting on the Board of Education. Once I joined the Board of Education, I found a district that was so caring and so developed that embraces not only the community and the students and the teachers. We now have a district that's attracting teachers from all around the country, and I'm really proud of that. I think we need to continue to support our students, our teachers, our community. I have the ability to get into the schools because I have an open platform and an open ear. So thank you for the opportunity.
On behalf of the League, I would like to thank our candidates, not only for your participation in tonight's forum, but also for your participation in the democratic process. It is not easy to run for office, and it is not easy to serve as an elected official. It is hard work, and we appreciate what you're doing. The League would like to make a huge thank you to our 2025 election sponsors, Elevations Credit Union, Inspire, Salon and Skin in Longmont, Christina's Luxuries, and Kaplan and Ernest, attorneys at law. And a short and sweet reminder that donations to the League of Boulder County help us continue our education and advocacy for the community. You can find more information on how to donate on our website, lwvbc.org. Before signing off, I'd like to alert our voters that tonight's forum, as well as many others, are available on the League's website. Again, that's lwvbc.org. The YouTube channel for the League of Women Voters will also have the forums, and vote411.org. Vote411.org is the League's premier voter information guide that supplies nonpartisan information on state and local candidates, ballot issues and questions, and much more. Resources are available on Vote41 in English and in Spanish. And again, a thank you to the candidates, and everyone have a great evening.
Thank you for having me.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Good night.